You're listening to The White Rabbit, conversations on the art of presenting in a rather noisy world. Your hosts are Matt Krause and Alper Rozanes. Matt helps leaders of international companies speak, write, and present with confidence. Alper is an author, communications trainer, and a startup investor with a diverse portfolio of companies in Barcelona. If you like this podcast, please share with your friends and colleagues. Now, on to Matt and Alper for today's conversation.
Alper, I'm kind of cranky this morning.
Oh, okay, welcome to therapy. This is... What can I help you with today?
Well, I had a software update this morning. Yeah, I'm on a Windows machine these past couple of years. You know, for a while I was on Macs, and I greatly preferred the Macs. But for the past couple of years, I've been on Windows machines. And so today I had a Windows update, and it went well. But you know how Windows updates are. There's always something rocky about them. You're in the middle of something, blah, blah, blah. So I'm kind of cranky because I waded through that. But I don't want today's podcast to turn into a Microsoft hate fest. So I want to talk about something else.
Okay, go ahead.
So I've been a presentation trainer for a couple of years now, for a while now, for more than a couple of years. And I've got this idea about presentation training, that presentation training is about how do you package your message and then how do you deliver it to people? That's presentation training. How do you package your message and how do you deliver it to people? But on about half of the presentation training jobs that we've had over the years, it seems like what the client or what the students are wanting more is a PowerPoint training. And by PowerPoint training, I don't mean specifically just PowerPoint. You know, maybe it's a Prezi shop or something like that. So whether it's PowerPoint or Prezi
like
or
technical side of it.
Yeah, the tools, basically, the technical side. They want training on the technical side, on how to use the tools more efficiently. And I've wondered for a while because, you know, a lot of clients are looking for that, the technical training. And then if you spend any time at all in the presentation training business, you know, you hear the word PowerPoint over and over and over. And it seems like 9 people are involved in PowerPoint for every one person who is just barely hanging on to the presentation training business and is not involved in PowerPoint. And so it's about 90% of
there's a huge market rate.
Yeah, and I understand that. Okay, well, you know, PowerPoint has like, you know, what do they have? Something like 80 or 85 or 90% market share of presentation tools, some crazy high number like that. And so I've been wondering for some years. It's like, okay, well, and you know how I'm by nature kind of a stubborn person, and so I've been wondering, okay, well, is it just that I'm wrong and I should go over to the other side and just admit that it's all about PowerPoint? Or since I'm stubborn, I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. And so what I end up doing is spending an inordinate amount of time trying to understand, okay, what is the mindset that is causing these people to see the world this way? What is the mindset that is causing these people to see the world in a way that we want to make our main goal is to make our employees more efficient with PowerPoint. And so that's what I wanted to go into today, was my theory about that. And then maybe you can punch some holes in it or give a different perspective on it.
Okay. Is there more? Let it out, man. This is where you let everything out.
So my theory about it is that if I'm a larger company, let's say I have 200 employees or 500 employees or 1,000 employees or 2,000 employees, something like that. So I'm not a small, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 person company. I'm a larger company.
Yeah.
If I'm a larger company like that, I'm basically cost-crushing machine. If you're a smaller company, a startup with, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 employees, something like that, a really small company, then you're all about the sales, all about getting the customers, getting some money in the door. But then once you grow larger, according to Matt's theory, once you grow larger, the cost crushing aspect of your operation plays a bigger role. And if you are primarily concerned with cost crushing, you don't really need your employees to be brilliant creative flowers. You've got a marketing department for that. What you need your employees to do, if you're a big company, what you need your employees to do is you need them to work efficiently, because you've got this huge line on your P&L statement for employee salaries. And you want that line to be as small as possible. So you need your employees to be efficient. And employees, they spend a huge amount of time working with the tools, in this case, PowerPoint. They spend a huge amount of time working with the tools. And so if you can reduce the amount of time that they spend working with the tools, in this case, PowerPoint, if you can reduce the amount of time they spend working with PowerPoint, it's going to be a huge return on your income statement. And so when you think, or when your HR department thinks presentation training, one of the first things that they think is, let's make people more efficient and more effective with PowerPoint. Anyway, that's my theory. Tell me what you think about that.
Great. So you're trying to drive me out of business. Okay. Well, first of all, I think we talked about this in one of the previous episodes, where I also tried to drive myself out of business by saying, of course, if you have the opportunity, if you have the skill set to make a great presentation without PowerPoint, I think you should do that. You should be able to. I'm certain that we talked about how you should be able to deliver a presentation without the PowerPoint, even if you're prepared to deliver a presentation with PowerPoint if something went wrong. But besides from contingencies, I truly believe that a great connection with people is made between humans. It's not made between a screen and another set of eyes.
Okay.
Does that mean we should not be using them at all? No, because I read so many data on or research on how you talk to people, and if you're able to accompany your message with a relevant visual, they're going to recollect much more of it. But does it mean that, let's say you and I meet for a chat or dinner, and I come with visuals, and I talk to you about my topic. I tell them a story accompanied by visuals. Of course not.
Then I would just think
certainly understand your and I would be one, by the way. I certainly understand your point in focusing less on the tools and focusing more on I think it was the skill set of presenting you were talking about, or delivering the message without
packaging your message,
packaging your story. Yes, without so much relying on the tools. I certainly agree with that. But I also think it's not very easy to do. It's simple to say, ditch the PowerPoint and connect with the people directly. It's easy. It's simple. It's not easy. It's simple to say that, but it's not necessarily easy to do, because then you have to do much more work. By the way, maybe one of the reasons why this happens to be the dominant case, like using the tools, using the presentation software, could be just a matter of being accustomed to it. I mean, since the early days of our education, we have seen, since the early days of our education, you and I have seen, what do you call them? I forgot, the transparent thing that is reflected on the wall. Years before PowerPoint became mainstream. the overheads. We were
Okay.
using overheads, and then PowerPoint became the standard. And I think we are so subjected to it, so exposed to it, that we have come to think that it should be a normal part of any conversation. But in reality, I believe that no, it shouldn't be. In fact, if you can do it without the PowerPoint or any other presentation software, the better. But that requires a lot of work. Maybe we don't want to do that. Maybe we don't want to put in the necessary effort to do that.
How about the part of the theory that goes, the part of my theory that goes, the company is trying to crush costs. The company is taking its focus off of making its employees brilliant creative flowers. Do you think we're losing an opportunity by teaching people how to be more efficient with your machine versus how to think more creatively? Are we losing an opportunity in that?
Well, I can only speak from my personal experience. And during those trainings where I'm asked to share more content about the use of the software, creativity is not the focus of those trainings. It's not the main demand of the company when they hire me. But what we work on is, there is this tool. Somehow we have learned how to use it to this day, and we have seen people use it, and we are replicating those methods of using this tool. Are there ways which we can use this tool more effectively, not necessarily more creatively? Because the topics in the training programs, which are specifically focused on PowerPoint or any other presentation software, they are not about creating more artsy, creative slides. They're more about how to use the tool more effectively and more efficiently. It's like there's a hammer in front of you, and there are a bunch of nails, and you've been using the wrong side of the hammer for 6 years, and it is doing the work, but sometimes it's breaking the handle, sometimes it's hurting you. But there's a better way of using that hammer. I think the same goes for PowerPoint. The idea is to be, at least in the trainings, to be able to use this tool in our disposal in a way which is more effective, more efficient, and which serves our goal better, but not necessarily more creative.
Okay.
So I maybe hung up on that word that you use as creative, but that's usually not the focus of the trainings.
Yeah.
And there's certainly the time-saving element, because you can waste so much time once you dig into the world of creating slides. You can lose so much time on the color, the font, the background, the animations, this transitions, etc. And I don't know why, but the software comes with hundreds of features, out of which you can easily completely disregard 80% and still deliver a very good presentation with 20% of the features that are available on the software. So the training more focuses on time saving or getting more efficient, saving more time and getting more efficient, and not necessarily creating more beautiful, more creative slides. So in that regard, it could be at the end of the day helping the company cut costs, because maybe people would be able to do things more efficiently and effectively, and not necessarily only focus on the creative side. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah. So I've got one more question, and then we're running out of time. So we'll have to wrap it up after this one more question. But let's say that you're doing a PowerPoint training. And this employee, for example, an employee is sitting in front of you, or an employee of the of the other company, of the client company. So the employee is sitting in front of you, and the employee wants to wade off into this. You mentioned that there, of the 100 features that are available in any software, for example, PowerPoint, of the 100 features that are available, maybe only 20 are necessary. You've got in front of you a client or a customer, an employee who wants to wade off into the other 80. Do you bring them back to the 20, or do you answer their question on how to better use the 80 features that probably they'll never need?
Well, no, we don't wander off to the entire set of features that come with the software, because although it's a technical training, as in how to use a software, how to use a tool better, of course, there is always the framework of why use this in the first place. Well, to connect better with the audience. How can you do that?
Okay.
Through simpler slides, through simpler messages. Well, how can we do those things then? Well, there are these 20 tools, 20 features of the tools that we can use, and the rest you can completely forget about. The idea is not to be able to use the software with more capacity, not to have a complete understanding of how to use the software, but the idea is how to use this particular software so that it will help your overall goal, which is making a better connection with the audience.
Okay.
And that usually is something you do through a simpler design, which eliminates the necessity to know every single feature of the software that comes with it.
Okay. So we're about out of time here. So we'll wrap up. And I promise our listeners that in subsequent episodes, we're not going to continue on Matt's crusade against PowerPoint. We're gonna have something else to talk about.
We'll start with mine. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I've got to warn you, audience. One of us is Matt on an eternal crusade against tools, and the other is an Apple fanboy. So you're in dangerous territory. Okay. So that's enough for today. So thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you on the next episode.
All right, Matt. Good talking to you.
Good talking to you too.
Thank you for listening to The White Rabbit with Matt Krause and Alper Rozanes. You can subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, iTunes, or through your favorite feed.